Welcome, everyone. This is Corey here for the Offtop podcast, November 2nd, 2021, episode 8. We're rolling with episode 8. Good evening, everyone. This is your man, Corey Phillips. Please subscribe, like, share the podcast. This is Corey here coming at you. Got Carson on the camera, Lance on the mics. What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys had a good week. Got a lot of breaking news going on right now. Got a lot of stuff to get into, but the huge breaking news that's just coming across. The World Series is over. Atlanta has just won the World Series, 2021 World Series, with a 7-0 win over the Houston Astros. They win the series 4-2. The game just ended literally 5 minutes ago. 7-0 shutout win. Jorge Soler with the 3-run homer. That shot was so big that it hit out of the park in Minute Maid Park. It was that big. I mean, it was a moonshot. But that propelled them, and they just cruised to the 7-0 victory. So congratulations to the Atlanta Braves. Here's the thing about the Atlanta Braves, and it tells you the beauty of playoff baseball, and it's that you just need to get into the playoffs at the right time. You don't need to have the best record. You don't need to have the best players. You just need to be hot at the right time. Atlanta Braves only won 86 games. They made it in as a wild card. And they fought. They were hot at the time. They made some big trades before the trade deadline, which propelled them to the World Series title tonight. And it just comes to show you that, and that's why I love playoff baseball, because you don't need to be winning 106 or 107 games like a lot of the Los Angeles Dodgers or the San Francisco Giants. They just had the right pieces at the right time. They got it put together at the right time. The pitching came together. Pitching is always a big part of the success of a winning baseball team, and it came to fruition tonight. I mean, literally, the Braves had a worse record than the Seattle Mariners, who were one win shy of making the playoffs, and here they are racing the World Series championship. So congratulations to the Braves. We'll get into some details, some fan reactions, some stuff like that on the Atlanta Braves. A lot of stuff to get into tonight. I mean, it's been NFL fest of news stories the last 24 hours. Got a lot of NFL stuff to get into. Also, we got the big UFC fight this weekend that we're going to get into. UFC, is it 268? 268? Yes. Usman versus Covington 2. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to be watching the fight. No matter what, I'm going to be watching that fight. Along with that, we got some NBA stuff going on, but a lot of NFL stuff. Some stuff that happened today. A lot of some bad stuff, some good stuff. Yesterday we had some trades. Today was the trading deadline for the NFL. A lot of moves that happened. Most of the moves happened yesterday. And we got some NBA stuff going on. My Lakers are on right now. It's halftime. They're losing by 6, 70-64 against the Houston Rockets. We're going to get into that, because my Lakers have been hot lately. They're 4-3 since the last time we were on air. And no movie review tonight, but we're going to preview the Eternals, because I'm going to see the Eternals this weekend. So a lot to get into. But I want to start off with, I already started off with the Braves winning the World Series tonight, and we'll get back to that in a second. But this story out of the NFL, it's kind of a tragic story. The Henry Ruggs story from this evening, or from earlier today. The fatal car crash from Henry Ruggs the third, as He was charged with a DUI in a fatal car crash that left one dead, one female dead, and the other female brutally, severely injured. They said he showed signs of impairment under the influence. Got charged with a second degree felony, which will result in jail time, more than likely. Now, this happened in Vegas this morning. The people, or yeah, or late last night, early this morning. It was like around 3 o'clock in the morning in Vegas. I mean, there's no really bedtime in Vegas anyway. It's a city that never sleeps, I would say, kind of like New York. But apparently, he slammed into high speed in this. He was in a Chevrolet Corvette. The ladies that were driving in front of him were in a Toyota RAV4, and they were in a residential area, and he speeded, hit them from behind. They smashed into a medium or on the side of the road, and the Toyota bursted off in flames. And also a dog died in that incident too. It's a sad story because there's a lot of potential for Henry Ruggs III, but again, it's one of those stories like we've seen it over the years, over and over. When you're in the public eye, and I've said this on many occasions, not on this podcast, but I'm going to say it right now. When you're in the public eye, when you are a sports athlete, you're not only responsible for yourself. There's other people around you that are affected. Whether it's your intermediate circle, whether it's your family. When you're out there in the streets driving like he was today, you're affecting other people in their family and their lives. And you have a responsibility to not go out and be irresponsible, because not only does it not affect your family, your inner circle, other people out there, your teammates, the organization. Why would you risk millions and millions of dollars to go out there and do dumb shit? And that's what happened here. You're not supposed to be driving impaired. You're supposed to be getting ready for a game. And some people have, it's kind of an illness, but it's kind of, they have addiction problems, maybe to drinking, maybe to pills, maybe to weed or other types of drugs or whatever. But you need to know, these things should be imprinted to you even going into college. Because once you're in college and you are a successful or a highly scouted or highly rated athlete like Henry Ruggs was, he went to Alabama. We knew he was going to get drafted. The Raiders spent the first round pick on this man. But we've seen it down the line for all sorts of athletes that are not being responsible or thinking about the bigger picture. And this is just another latest example of a person who has made a mistake and now could be sentenced to possibly 6 to 8 years in prison. His NFL career is done. That is fair to say. It's over. You were just involved in a DUI where somebody died and another person that was brutally injured. It's over for you. Was it worth it? I would say no. But these are the responsibilities and these are the consequences for the actions that this person did. And sadly to say, we're probably not going to see this man on the NFL field again, all because he wanted to take a few drinks and go out and drive. I don't even know if it was any drinks. Maybe he was doing some other things that we don't know about. But in any event, police are still under investigation on this story, but these are the latest details of it. And now, and you know what? The thing I feel bad for is the Raiders, man. The Raiders have been under the ringer the last couple weeks. The whole John Gruden story. Now this. And the crazy thing about it, the Raiders were 5-2. They're in first place in the division. So we'll see how this new obstacle is going to affect the Raiders long term because I mean they got a game to play this week. There's nothing. They got to get a game on Sunday against the Giants, so it's like I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a quick turnaround for them, but I mean it's sad because I like Henry. I like him. Henry Ruggs is a great receiver. I thought he was just starting to get into that. Starting to get acclimated with the team a little bit better. He was starting to see a little bit more targets. Um, so this is a major blow for their offense, especially. But he's looking at facing 2 felony charges coming up. Some other NFL news. Obviously, you know I'm excited. I got the Rams hat on. You see it. You already know what news came down yesterday. And I wish my guy Zach was here so I could talk to him about it and ask him a few questions about it. But that's okay. We're not going to go there. I mean, I really wish he was here right now. But that's all right. I'll talk to him later off the air. But as you know, the Rams made a big trade yesterday. A lot of NFL stuff going on. But the Rams made a big trade yesterday, making a trade with the Denver Broncos. And if you thought the Rams defense was elite, you have seen nothing yet because they just added a 7-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion in Von Miller. What the hell are teams going to do? I mean, think about it for a second. Aaron Donald, who is probably in a lot of circles is probably the best overall NFL player in the league. If you know what the NFL Top 100 is on NFL Network, Aaron Donald was voted number 1 last year. This year he was voted number 2. And he's the most double-teamed defensive lineman in all of the NFL this year. Now, remind you, the Rams are number 1 in literally every single statistical category on defense. And now you are adding, and Aaron Donald's the most double-teamed defensive lineman in the NFL. And now you're adding Von Miller, who's going to be on the other side, who's going to be rushing for the right end on the edge. What are teams going to do? They're stacked. You just literally, and the Rams, I mean, the details of the trade, the Rams acquired Von Miller linebacker. They gave away a 2nd and a 3rd round pick this year on a 2022 pack for Von Miller. So the Rams are basically saying, we're all in. We're going all in on this Super Bowl. We're trying to win it. The offense is playing lights out. Cooper Kupp leads the league in touchdowns with 10. Matt Stafford is showing everybody why he was the perfect fit for this offense and not Jared Goff. Obviously, Jared Goff's in Detroit. We already know Detroit's situation. They haven't won a game yet. They're 0-8. That's another story. But now you add this piece. And you already got Jalen Ramsey in the secondary, too, who's questionably one of the best corners in the league. This team is ready to roll. They're saying, we're going all in. We are all in on the Super Bowl. We want to win it this year or next year. Because they don't have a lot of draft picks coming up in the next year or so. Another Rams news. They let go to Deshaun Jackson. I saw that coming. He didn't really fit the mold for the offense because you need some. He's the type of person that goes, he likes to streak downfield. The Rams don't play that type of offense. They kind of work the sidelines and work up the middle a little bit. They don't throw deep routes. They don't. Their wide receivers. You look at Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. They don't go downfield very often. They're not speed guys. Deshaun Jackson's a speed guy. He needs to be on another team that will air it out downfield. A la Kansas City Chiefs, maybe. That might be a good fit for him. But in any event, great move. This is going to help them long term. And the great part about this is that the Rams are not attached to the salary at all. The Broncos still foot the bill on it. And he's still owed $10.5 million this year. So the Rams give up 2 draft picks, which I was like, didn't want to mortgage the future that much because we still need to build for the future. But if we can win right now or in the next year or two, I'd be down with that. So you re-sign Von Miller, maybe give him an extension. We'll see how far they go. But the Rams are primed to make a Super Bowl run. They're 7-1. They're tied with Arizona on top of the NFC West. I mean, if you look at the rest of the NFC, you got the Arizona Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers, who are both 7-1. I mean, and then you have Tampa Bay, the defending champs. How many games have they lost? Let me pull them up here. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is 6-2, and Dallas is 6-1. So it's a pretty thick competition up top. But I think the Rams are primed and ready to do this. And they're on a 4-game winning streak right now. They're hot. Green Bay's on a 7. Dallas, I don't know how the hell they're 6-1, but they are. But I think the Rams, if they can get him long term and stick with him and Aaron Donald, they're going to have an elite defense for quite a bit. Some other injury news: Derrick Henry is going to have elected to opt into surgery on his ankle, so he's probably going to be out 6 to 10 weeks. So for fantasy owners out there, if whoever's got Derrick Henry, I apologize. I'm sorry. That might bury your season. Unless, and we're going to get into that as well, Adrian Peterson got signed by Tennessee yesterday to the practice squad. It's standard that anybody gets signed will get signed to the practice squad. He will get moved up to the full roster by tomorrow, I'm going to guess. And he'll be starting for it. Now, the big question with Adrian Peterson is, I know he's 36, and he's a physical specimen, but are you in football shape? Because he's been gone for the game for almost a year now. How's his body gonna hold up taking those hits? And Tennessee's offense is predicated on the run. Obviously, Derrick Henry is a big part of their offense because when Derrick Henry is there playing and he gets the ball, they win about 70% of their games. They don't rely on Ryan Tannehill to throw the football very often. So, we'll see how that works out. Other news, there was a couple of signings today. Green Bay cut Jalen Smith, which was surprising to me. Now, I thought that the Dallas Cowboys were going to pick him back up because it was the Cowboys who released him, and he signed with the Packers. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. But the other team that I was looking at that made a move was the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody knows this team's defense has been horrific all season long. And they didn't look too great Monday either. But they made some moves today that might help them out. Obviously, them getting Melvin Ingram from Pittsburgh is a huge help to that defense. It gives them a pass rush, which they desperately need. And it's going to help overall because it doesn't rely on the secondary to do everything else. It takes a little bit of pressure off the secondary. But the Chiefs getting Melvin Ingram from the Steelers, that's a big deal. And then they made a trade from the Jets to add DeVarney Tardif, who is an offensive tackle from the New York Jets, which will help with their offensive line issues that they've been having. Because if you looked at the game last night or any game the Chiefs have played this season, Patrick Mahomes has been under duress all season. He's looking like Russell Wilson from a few years ago. So you add that to the mix. Patrick Mahomes didn't have his best game on Monday. They still came out with the victory, but ball security issues was a big thing. I mean, you saw Travis Kelsey had a fumble. Patrick Mahomes had a fumble himself. I like the fact that they were running the ball a little bit more, which they needed to do. But overall, I saw a lot of ball security issues, a lot of cadence issues with the Kansas City Chiefs. But nevertheless, they still won the game. They're 4-4. They needed that win, and now they're back kind of in the driver's seat. So we'll see how that goes. The one thing I wanted to go in on, though, Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson had the pin took out of his finger today, and people are like, "Oh, he'll be back next week." I'm like, "Look, your season's almost in doubt right now. You don't want to rush him back and have a more serious injury come to him. He's your franchise." And on top of that, Chris Carson is not healthy either. So what do? You have a bye week this week, so you have a little bit of time to reassess. But then you're going to Green Bay next week. Not this week, not this Sunday, next Sunday. Do you keep Geno Smith back there? Now, if any person watched the game on Sunday knows that the Seahawks didn't look great. Even though the Seahawks won the game, and they won the game handily against Jacksonville, it just shows how bad of a football team Jacksonville is. The Seahawks are not great. I'm telling you right now. The Seahawks are 29th in passing yards, 21st in running. Alex Collins has had one good game since he's taken over for Chris Carson, and that was the second half of the Steelers game on Sunday Night Football a couple weeks ago. He has done nothing since. Now, I want to tell a stat that I was reading, and DK said something very interesting post game on Sunday. And I wish I had the sound to say it, but it's in print too. But DK said basically there was a big pass play that he caught in the end zone, and he said something to the effect of he doesn't usually get these passes that often, or he doesn't get these balls thrown to him that often, and I kind of think that was a shot towards Russell Wilson, a calculated shot, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the number, I mean, when Russell gets back, because Russell Wilson will be back, either the Green Bay game. I doubt he'll be back for the Green Bay game. That's also a Sunday afternoon game. Or he'll be back for the Cardinals game. He's coming back one of those two games, in my personal opinion. But when he gets back, he's going to think back to that quote that DK said to the reporter, and maybe it's going to set kind of, I think DK was trying to plant a seed in Russell Wilson's ear, like, look, maybe I need to throw him a few more targets. Maybe if I throw him a few more targets, maybe that's going to result in a few more touchdowns. Because DK is a wide receiver that should be targeted in the end zone every time. His size, his strength. On a 50-50 ball, who do you think is coming down with that more than likely? Because the average corner is what? 5'10", 6 foot? DK's massive. You know DK's coming down with those 50-50 balls. If you look at his targets right now, DK Metcalf has the second most targets in the NFL besides who? Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has 93 targets this season. That is the most in the NFL. Second is DK Metcalf with 57. And how many touchdowns does Cooper Cup have? 10. DK Metcalf has 5. So he's beating him by a little over 30 more targets, and he's got double the touchdowns. That tells you he's not getting targeted in the red zone. So I think this is a shot. Maybe it's a shot at the coaching staff. Maybe it's a shot at Pete Carroll. Maybe it's a shot at Steve Waldron, the new offensive coordinator, whoever. I think he's trying to plant some seeds. It's a calculated move by DK, and we'll see if it pays off. But he's got a valid point, man. And maybe it's the offensive line he's pointing to. The offensive line played good, but then again, last week they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. You look at their schedule coming up. Let's see. Let's look at their next 5 games. Okay, Seahawks are on the road in Green Bay. Then they're back home against Arizona. On the road at Washington. That's a Monday Night Football game. Back home against the 49ers for Sunday Night Football. And you know what? Here we go. And this is another thing I pointed out the other day. I don't think I said it on the podcast, episode 7. Like, share, subscribe the show, okay? But this squad, we keep getting showcased on prime time. I'm like, what the hell? Are we just trying to show how bad we are on primetime games? Because this is going to be like number 4 when we play Washington on Monday Night Football in a couple weeks. We've had, how many primetime games we had? Let's see. The Steelers game was primetime. The Saints game was primetime. The Rams game was primetime. We've already had 3 primetime games. And we got 1, 2. Well, these are the last 2 primetime games we got. But still, we've been showcasing a lot of our bad attributes on primetime TV lately. And I'm trying to get that off. Get that train away. Now, they can flex a game if we get back into it, if it's worth it for the media heads to they can flex a game and put us on prime time, maybe move us to Sunday Night Football or something. If it's a meaningful game, we'll see how we are. But in any event, Seahawks are have some troubles coming up. The new AP poll for college football came out. University of Georgia is number 1 on the college football playoff ranks, followed by Alabama, Michigan State, and Oregon. Those are your top 4. First playoff brackets coming out. Ohio State and Cincinnati, which I think Cincinnati is getting screwed out of this one. Cincinnati's 8-0. They're basically they're one of the, well, Michigan State's 8-0. Georgia's 8-0, I get it. But Cincinnati is a really good football team. They're just on the outside looking in. We'll see how it comes up. I don't know if Michigan State will keep that 8-0 record. Wake Forest and Oklahoma are also undefeated. They're on the outside looking in. But these could change at any point. So we'll see. I'll be keeping a close eye on that. And then what I want to get into real quick, though, before I get into anything else, is the UFC fight for this weekend. Now, Usman and Covington, this is their second fight that they've had. And the first fight, and if I remember this correctly, it was probably one of Usman's toughest fights he's had. Usman's a champ. He's one of my favorite fighters personally. The whole card is ridiculous, but it seems like Covington might have the blueprint to beat him. We'll see. I'm excited for it, but I'll tell you this. I'm not going to probably watch the prelims. I got to work and do some stuff, but I will probably watch the main card for sure, which the main card starts on the west. If you're on the West Coast, starts at 7 o'clock. But this is one of the biggest fights of the year. I've been waiting for this rematch because I watched the. There's a couple championship matches here, but I watched the first fight, and it seemed like Covington almost had the blueprint to beat him, and they've been beefing ever since. So this is a highly anticipated fight. It's one of the most highly anticipated fights of the year coming up, and I'm excited to watch. Um, Other news are coming down. I mean, we got some big NFL matchups. I'll get into the NBA score real quick. 25 seconds left in the third. Houston and LA. Houston's up by 3. Lakers have cut into the lead, so they're down by 3. I'll tell you what, man. Carmelo Anthony has been playing lights out lately. He's been getting open. He's been penetrating. He's actually been shooting really well from 3-point. He's got 10 points tonight. LeBron, well, actually not LeBron. Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook both have 24 points. LeBron James has 16, 8 assists. So LeBron James has been facilitating a lot more. But they got 15 points off the bench. And they're rolling right now. They're back at home. And in the third quarter just ended. Houston's up 89-87. So we'll see how this is going. Russell Westbrook's looking pretty nice right now. So we'll check back into that game in a few minutes. But yeah, I just want to. The other thing I wanted to say was congratulations to CP3 because he just did an extraordinary thing in that he moved into third all-time in assist leaders. CP3 has been I he doesn't have a championship, but he's one of those players where he's a Hall of Fame type of player that I would put in the Hall of Fame, even if he doesn't win a championship. He just passed Magic Johnson. I mean, he's right there. He's top 3. I mean, Steve Nash holds the record for most assists in career, but I mean, Paul has 20,000 career points and over 10,000 assists. I mean, those are Hall of Fame numbers, and he just got to his first NBA Finals last year. So I feel like you have to put him in that upper echelon as one of the top 75 of all time. Even though he hasn't won a championship yet, because we put John Stockton and Karl Malone in that same type of ilk. I think CP3 Chris Paul deserves to be on that list as well. So it's I like CP3. I think he's an ambassador for the game. He's a good example for what you should do. As far as being a point guard, he's probably the blueprint of what being a point guard should be. And he's great. And I congratulations to him on that record. He's not done yet because he's still playing. They got a good shot to make the finals again. But congratulations to CP3. A couple of the big NFL games that are coming up this week that I wanted to touch on that you should look out for. Thursday night is a snoozer. It's the Jets and the Colts. The Colts should win that hands down. Teams on the bye: not the Redskins, the Washington football team. My bad. Tampa, Seattle, and Detroit. So if you got any Tom Brady, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, Tampa defense, you can't use them this week. So you better be hitting that waiver wire. I'm telling you right now, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be a hot one. Denver's playing Dallas this week. Noah Fant just came down with COVID. That's a breaking news story that just happened. So you're not going to have Noah Fant available. And you just lost your best defensive player in a trade. So, but with Von Miller, so Dallas is going to be chomping at the bit to beat Denver. Unbelievable. Some other big games. Sunday Night Football. You have the Rams and the Titans. We'll see. I mean, we're going to get a good look at Aaron Donald and Von Miller against a Tennessee Titans team. First game without Derrick Henry. That's not good news for Tennessee. And the Rams are at home too. That is very scary. But the big game of the week is the Green Bay Packers at the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a huge game. KC coming off the win Monday night on a short week. Green Bay has won 7 in a row. They're rolling right now. We'll see the status of Devontae Adams. I think he'll be back. He'll be done with a COVID protocol. But that's a huge game Sunday afternoon. I can't wait to watch that. The Chargers and the Eagles on the schedule. Minnesota and Baltimore. Baltimore coming off the bye. Minnesota coming off that upset loss against the Cowboys, which I thought Minnesota should have won that game. We'll see how they bounce back, but they're playing a Baltimore team that's rested. There's not really a huge matchup. I'll be watching the Raiders game against the Giants. We'll see how the Raiders are gonna come out after this news with Henry Ruggs and the DUI situation. And then Monday night is Chicago and Pittsburgh, another snoozer game. So not a lot of mainstream matchups this week, but there's a couple big games in there. I mean, Arizona and San Francisco, that's going to be huge as well. But the Green Bay Kansas City game is the one I have circled. Also, Cleveland and Cincinnati, that's also a big game as well. But today, I want to talk to somebody off subject, off of sports for a second. There's a lot of trailers that came out in the last 2 days. I'm excited to see the Eternals this weekend. And I just want to get into this before we wrap it up. There is the new Morbius trailer that came out today. And I got super excited. Along with that, I saw the Cowboy Bebop trailer. And anybody watch anime or anybody watch or a real anime fan, Cowboy Bebop's one of my favorite animes. Oh, Carson?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
I saw the new trailer for the Cowboy Bebop series that's coming on Netflix next month. And oh my gosh, it looks so freaking good. I'm a little worried because they got that guy from Harold and Kumar, the White Castle guy, the Asian dude. Remember that from White Castle? I can't remember his name. But I'm a little excited for the series. And then on top of that, if anybody doesn't know out there, I am a huge Star Wars fan. Just so we have it on the record, I am a huge Star Wars fan. And if anybody watched The Mandalorian, which is probably one of the best series out there, season 3 is coming in March, by the way. Can't wait. But at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, remember the episode everybody freaked out because we saw Luke Skywalker and we actually saw Mando's face for the first time. But then the post-credit scene, you saw Boba Fett. And they had a little preview for the Book of Boba Fett. But finally, the trailer comes out. The Book of Boba Fett first trailer came out. It hit the waves yesterday. And we got a release date, December 29th. That series starts. So not only do you have Hawkeye coming out this Christmas, not only do you have Matrix Resurrections coming out, not only do you have Spider-Man coming out, you got Morbius coming out, then you throw in the mix the Book of Boba Fett. Are you fucking kidding me? You got all this stuff coming out. I'm telling you, man, if you don't find me here on the podcast or at work, you ain't gonna find me. You're gonna find me in a theater or at home on a couch. This is too good stuff, man. I got super excited. Cowboy Bebop was enough. I saw Morbius today. I freaked out. I've watched that Boba Fett trailer about 10 times already. And every time I get more and more excited. That series is going to be great. It looks like Home Dude, who played the original Boba Fett in the original Star Wars movies, is in shape. He didn't look all chubby like he did in Mandalorian season 2. It looks fantastic. But Eternals comes out this Friday. I'm probably gonna go see it on Friday. Barring maybe Sunday, I might go see it because I got the fight to watch Saturday night. That it comes first, so I'm gonna be watching the fight for sure. But I will give my preview or my reaction for Eternals on the next podcast, episode 9. We almost had the 10 spot. We almost had double digits. So before we wrap it up, next week I'm gonna give you Fantasy Wire preview. We're gonna talk about these games reaction from the World Series. This World Series has got breaking stuff going on. I feel like this show is going to be going through some. What's going on?
I didn't realize I have Henry Ruggs on.
Oh, you have Henry. My camera guy was shaking his head. He's like, "What's going on?" He's got Henry Ruggs. Well, you might want to get into some waiver wire stuff here real quick, because if you're looking for a wide receiver, Henry Ruggs is not. It's not one you want to be picking up, or you might want to get a replacement for him ASAP. I will say this though. There's not a lot of. I mean, depending on how deep your league is, there's not a lot of options out there. It's hard to find a wide receiver that's going to give you the same amount of production. I mean, he was up and down on waiver wire lists. Some people had him, but they weren't starting him every game. Does that make sense? It depends on the matchup, you know. So, but Darren Waller, he's their tight end. They're starting tight end. He's probably their best player on offense. He's getting a majority of the targets. But if you were to get one person on that team, another wide receiver on that team, it would be Hunter Renfrow. He's good. And he's going to see a buttload of target shares coming up. So look for Renfrow. Right now, he's like rostered in I would say 40% of leagues right now. 56. 56 of leagues. So he might be a good player to pick up because they don't have anybody else. I mean, Darren Waller, defenses are keying on him. They're keying on him big time. You need other options. Jacobs is good, but I mean, he's injury prone, so you need somebody else who's going to pick up the slack. That's the problem with the Raiders right now. Jamison Crowder is another person you would pick up. Randall Cobb could be another option. If AJ Green's available, I would go after him. Elijah Moore is also another option for you at wide receiver. Russell Gage, because Calvin Ridley is out due to personal reasons. He's going to seek some help. But Russell Gage is also another one that you can pick up. Darryl Mooney of the Chicago Bears, he's only rostered in 40% of leagues. He has started to become a favorite target in Chicago. So those will be some of the guys you can pick up. Also, KJ Osborne is another option, and Kendrick Bourne if he's available. And then Alan Lazard, obviously, because he's going to be back in the lineup for the Packers, and they're playing a piss-poor Kansas City defense. So those are my waiver wire fantasy pickups for this week. Oh, I forgot to mention Jaden Waddle, too. So those will be my fantasy wide receiver pickups. Next week, I'll get into more of my fantasy pickups for week. We're going into week 10 next week of the NFL season. Damn, it's going by quick. Wow. We're going into week 10 of the NFL season. We're going to recap some of last week's games. Obviously, I'm going to recap the fight. That's going to be front and center next week. Also, my reaction about Eternals, because I'll be watching that this weekend. Yeah, man. Subscribe, like, share. Tell your folks. Tell everybody about the podcast. You can see us on all the platforms out here. YouTube. I'm on Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Um, Thank you guys for tuning in. Next week, like I said, fantasy football, NFL football. We're gonna talk. Maybe some more trailers are gonna come out. We're gonna talk about the movie and the fight because I'm gonna be watching. I'll be watching the whole main card, and I might have a live feed that I might do a little pop up on Instagram from my location on the fight. So stay tuned to that. All right. Until next time, peace and love.